because we were concerned about the division and conflicting information that people were getting, so we thought we'd develop something so that people in our community could come together and learn together regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. Is there anybody who has not been here before to our
Where?
to our group, to our forums? Oh, good. Well, welcome. It's good to have you here. Just a couple things about, we are here to learn. We are not, this is about getting information from the people who know. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but there are things called algorithms. And if you get online, you get stuck into an algorithm and you're going to get information that sort of aligns with what you have been looking up or what you've been reading, and a lot of times they can take you down rabbit holes with that. So we wanted to create something where we can just get information from, we've had, this is what, our sixth? I'm so bad, sixth forum. We've had superintendents talking about financial things because there was misinformation going on about that. We've had people talking about ranked choice voting, so we could learn that. So this is an opportunity for West Michigan, or the Whitehall area to come, the White Lake area to come together and learn together so that we can be stronger as a community, that we are not so divided. There's a lot of very divided rhetoric and conversations going on, and that's not what this is about. So as we proceed, please, if anybody has a soapbox, step down from it and make sure that we are talking about what the speaker is going to share with us, and we're listening to learn, not to argue. And I think that we will do good with that. Tamara, you want to introduce our speaker?
So if you haven't met me, I'm Tamara Horn. I live here in Whitehall. I'm also a member of the Common Ground community. I was going to share that last year I went to a Sierra Club lobby day in Lansing. And if you haven't been to a citizens lobby day, it's where organizations set up meetings with your legislators, and they put you in groups and you go around and you meet with the different legislators. You hand them packets about the topic that you're going to meet about. So when we went last year, we were talking about community solar, which is a bipartisan initiative that had co-sponsors from both parties on the bill. And as we went to the different offices, one of the offices that my group went to was one of the sponsors of the bill. And he was so excited to have us there. He said he loves to have citizens come and meet with him. But he said he was having trouble convincing some of the other representatives to sign on and support his bill. And so what I found out through that is he said, after you leave in the next week, the utility is going to come to my office and every other representative's office, and they are going to talk to them about not supporting this bill that I sponsor. And sure enough, that bill was brought forward and it didn't pass. And so, I mean, considering it's a bipartisan topic that is supported by both sides, it was clear to me that what was dissuading some from voting in favor was the massive amount of money that the politicians were getting from the utilities. They were coming around, taking them out to lunch like every week, every month. And that works more than me going one day to Lansing and talk to my representatives. So I feel very strongly about the Money Out of Politics campaign, and I'm so glad to have Johanna here to speak to us about it and explain a little bit more about the details, what it is. And once we get through it, then we'll also have a time, if you are interested, you can sign the petitions that we have. So thank you for being here, Joanna, and
Thank
take
you.
it away.
I am not Christy. First of all, I want to say Tamara did an amazing job. I've only been here 1 week, so this is very new to me as well. I'm still learning. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan originally, and I just recently was the regional director for the presidential campaign. And this is 2 times over, and I worked in community organizing, neighborhood organizing, and I'm between all of West Michigan, so Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Ottawa, Oceana, all the way up or down to St. Joe's, and up to I think Ottawa County, quite a few counties. So I'm really excited to be with you guys. This means a lot to us. I see a lot of potential volunteers, and I trust Tamara. I think she's doing a rocking job. I was looking at her as though she was the speaker, so that was pretty funny. So I just want to say my executive director would love to be here. She got double booked, and she is phenomenal, Christy. And I hope you guys get a chance to meet her. Also, before I get started, we brought t-shirts, so at the end, if you guys would like to take some t-shirts with you, we'd love to get the word out. Also, it's great when you're volunteering to have that visibility, just to know like other volunteers who are wearing it. We get a lot of questions about that. So thank you for your time tonight. And I will get started. This is my first time doing this. I know I'm being recorded, so I just want to preface to you guys, I'm learning as much as you are. So welcome to Michiganders for Money Out of Politics. Voters Not Politicians, these are some of our groups and coalitions that we have partnerships with, that we're very grateful to have partnerships with. Clean Water Action, Detroit Action, Moses Action, Michigan United Action, Michigan League of Conservation Voters, Climate Cabinet, and the Hip Hop Caucus Action Fund.
Can you just tell us what those are?
So these are different coalitions, organizations that we partner with, mainly to work with us to help get signatures or spread the word about our various petition and ballots. Again, I don't know the extent of each of those organizations. I know that we work a lot with the Hip Hop Caucus and the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. But yeah, they're basically extensions of us, and sure, yeah.
Is this sponsored mainly by Voters Not Politicians originally?
Yes, yep, these are just our partners. So this is all, we're Voters Not Politicians. These are just our community partners, so.
And are you going to tell us what Voters Not Politicians is?
Yeah, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have started out with that in the first place. So Voters Not Politicians, we're a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. Basically what we do is we organize to get signatures for various ballot issues. And because we're nonpartisan, that means we don't take either side. We do get funding from all various legislators, various donors, unanimous donors, and it makes it even stronger. And the goal for Michigan Money Out of Politics is to really focus on the utility corporations that are influencing our voter choices, our ballots, and to find a way to devoid ourselves as voters from having big money within the political system that we have in Michigan. So as far as Voters Not Politicians, we're still really forming the next level, the next tier. Definitely in the next 10 years we'll be out statewide organizing. So that's why they brought West Michigan back on. There was a time where West Michigan was not involved, which I think was only a couple of years, but so I'm basically reigniting our volunteer base on this side, so that's maybe why we are not as familiar. They've been very strong on the east side of Michigan, which is why you see like more groups that, or groups and organizations from the east side versus the west side of Michigan.
The reason I ask is that I volunteered with them to get the citizens redistricting petitions, so that we don't have politicians redistricting, we have a citizens initiative.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that organization to do that.
Well, that's wonderful. We need you back. And it sounds like you have all the knowledge, and I would love to have you back 100%. And that's why we're here tonight. So, yeah, definitely reach out. We're looking again to reconnect with anybody who was working with Voters Not Politicians before that kind of lag. I'm not as familiar as to what happened in between or how many people were volunteering from which area, but we'd love to have you back. And I know Chris, it means a lot to Christy too. So that's the extent of my own personal knowledge. Again, I'm learning, I'm in training, so I'll give you all that I can, but I would love to see you guys help out, and we'll get White Lake rocking. So I'll head on to the next one. So big money in politics takes away our political power. Obviously, that's something really important to our organization, and Mop Up is its own organization. However, VMP has partnered with Mop Up to make sure that we get as many signatures as possible so that that petition is on the ballot. And that's why we're here today, is to really, encourage you guys to help us get out there and help us collect signatures so that we can be on the November 26th ballot for the Michigan Money Out of Politics. So big money in politics means special interests win over voters. Thank you, Sue. 62% of Americans say the federal government is doing too little to reduce climate change. And I definitely recognize that as well. A lot of millennials and younger generation voters feel that way about climate change. Big money in politics means special interests win over voters. As you can see, the numbers since 1992, I was born in 1987, just to give you guys a preface. To now, oil and gas money in campaigns has just skyrocketed tremendously, and it's really alarming to anybody who remembered what it was like in the early 90s to now.
Is that on a national scale, the dollar figures we're looking at, or?
I'm assuming so. I don't know exactly where this statistic was taken from, but it just is to give some reference.
I suspect it's federal because the last slide was referencing the federal government not doing enough.
And probably, you know what, that's probably very accurate. And yes, so I'm assuming it also is federal. And again, I was born in 1987, so these numbers are alarming to me. And I think this is why a lot of volunteers are getting active, noticing these major changes. And I think that this is Voters Not Politicians, a great organization to get involved to learn more about that. Yeah, it's kind of like picking its time. There we go. All right. So that looks like it's on a different, we missed a slide, but that's okay. DTE's consumer energy among worst utilities in U.S. for blackout durations. DTE Energy donates to nearly every Michigan lawmaker it sees rate hike. So I just want to get your personal opinion. Are you guys familiar with Consumers Energy being involved or DTE Energy being involved? Yes. So that was really alarming to me personally, and a lot of my coworkers who just came on, and this was really impactful. Our legislators are not the enemy. The problem is structural. So one thing we're focusing on getting elected is expensive. So a lot of legislators have expensive budgets. More than $67 million was spent on competitive state legislative races in 2024. That also causes a lot of issues with utilities investing into statewide campaigns. Regulated gas and electric utility political spending ban. These are three policy components: government contractor election spending ban and closing the issue and ad loophole. So these are things that we're focusing and targeting, and Michigan money out of politics. Michigan money out of politics. So this is a big issue for us, and I know that we're focusing on these components and closing the issue ad loophole. That's a really big deal too. Again, I am not the traditional administrator who could go more in depth on how we're tackling those things, but I definitely hope that we can get you guys that information. As you guys know, again, more focusing on Detroit, the Detroit News, DT Energy Link nonprofit quietly gave $100,000 to House Speaker Fund amid outage anger. So legislation requiring utility industry regulators to establish incentives and penalties for reliability for DTE Energy and consumer energy have languished in the Michigan House for the past year under outgoing House Speaker Joe Tate, Detroit. So again, this is just another way they're influencing legislators during really critical times.
I was just going to add in that this might seem strange to us being in consumers energy territory. Our outages are not usually as long, but DTE and the other side of the state where the electric is provided by DTE, their outages are longer and more frequent. And so when you see that there's outage anger, it's like repeatedly folks are losing everything in their fridge multiple times a year. They get very little in compensation for that. And so seeing that someone accepts $100,000 and that makes it not a problem for them anymore is pretty upsetting to all those that are losing their groceries and medications frequently.
So it's kind of like the people that we as constituents vote into office are not working for us.
Right,
They're working for the companies.
right.
And Joe Tate, as Speaker, had a Democratic majority. So it really says that, at least on the more progressive side of things, they were against regulation of the utilities, of having the penalties when they had long outages. And that seems counterintuitive to me. It seems like a more generally, regulation is a progressive issue. And yet they didn't move on it.
Well, yeah, I think, again, I'm from West Michigan, so I'm learning as well about DTE, and I definitely would love to know more, but I think that it's clearly an issue for all of us. Regulated gas, so policy summary number 1, regulated gas and electric utilities will be banned from making contributions to the office holders or candidates for the offices that regulate said utilities. Again, that kind of goes back to what Tamara just said. Regulated gas and electric utilities will be banned from making contributions, so that's something that we would prefer, and that candidates are not able to receive that level of funding. Gas and electric utilities, principals of gas and electric utilities or affiliated entities of gas or electric utilities who are regulated by Michigan Public Service Commission are banned from giving contributions to governor, state legislator, attorney general, candidates for above offices, MP, SC members, and state or local party committees.
MPSC would be the Michigan Public Services Commission, which is the state-level regulatory body passing on proposals for funding for new pipelines or transmission facilities, or in general setting rates for gas and electric and other public utilities throughout the state, down to and including local co-ops, rural co-ops, which are consumer-owned.
Aren't they appointed positions rather than elected positions?
They are. They're governor appointed.
Yeah.
And there's
But
three.
they would take money that would sway them in the decisions they're making, even though the money isn't really for their reelection or anything.
Well, they
We
make
call it a
really,
bribe.
they make the
bribe,
commission,
okay.
yeah, the commission makes big decisions about, they make all decisions about utility rate hikes, they make decisions about the 20-year planning for all of our utilities, and that to make sure that it's reliable and that everybody is provided for heat and energy wise. So they make some pretty major decisions for us.
Yeah, I think the inference there was that if they're not elected, then why do they need, and they're being paid, then why do they need donations to them anyway? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like straightforward to bribe if they're giving them money. There has to be some angle where they say, oh no, we're gonna put it in this fund that you can use, but it's not for you, or something, you know. I don't know what they're doing, but it's, because, you know,
Bribe.
it's a bribe, yeah.
Great.
You do not have to read that whole
Thanks. Because I can only, so basically these are just the definitions. I mean, this is the end of this particular presentation. It's not very long. And also I can have Tamara send it out to you guys. If anybody wants a copy of it, just kind of go back and look. I'm learning from you guys, which is the best thing about being new to this role, is that some of it is really unfamiliar for a certain age demographic. And so we're also learning and understanding what this means and how this has been impacting our voting. So the biggest thing, I guess, to take away from today is that Voters Not Politicians is an excellent organization to get involved with, that's nonpartisan, that doesn't seek to work with one party over the other. It's really just about protecting our rights as Michigan voters. And I think and as you can hear, there's been some excellent work done without having all of the things that come with being partisan. And I think the biggest role for me and somebody like myself, a young person, especially in West Michigan, where I'm really super proud of our involvement and our actions. I think our involvement has really shown. It used to be a lot of East Side organizations basically dominated, and I'm really happy to see this large of a crowd just here in White Lake or Whitehall, because it means that we're getting active here too, and we're not acknowledged nearly as much just because we haven't been as present in certain ways, or not public facing political work or nonpartisan political work. So it's just really great to see you guys here tonight. I wish I had more experience and a lot more. I'm not my director at all whatsoever. I'm sure she could filter out so many different questions that you have. Oh, sure.
Yeah. So with the money out of politics, and we're trying to get it on the ballot for next year, so that's why we're signing the petitions if it's something we want to support. Is it really geared towards the utilities companies, or are there other companies that
That's our major ones, DTE and Consumers Energy, to my knowledge and my training thus far.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that we're most focusing on because they're the ones with the largest spending abilities. And it seems to be like we just noticed with Joe Tate, like that seems to be much more influential, DTE and Consumers. So I think they're trying to start off with those particular two because that's statewide. But I would love to know more too. And again, any of those like more impactful questions, it would be great for Tamara to maybe like put something together for Christy that she can really, again, it's my second week on the job, and I literally just learned this presentation, and I would love to be able to give more in-depth information, but I think our biggest thing is to get circulators on this side of the state. And particularly in West Michigan, we need circulators. We need signatures. That's going to be the make or break. If this doesn't get on the ballot in November 26th, it's because people assume that it will naturally be on the ballot, and we actually may not be. So this particular issue may not even make just being able to be voted on.
how many signatures are you aiming for, and what's your deadline?
I don't have the exact number, but that is something I can ask one of my supervisors.
Isn't it like 248,000 or something?
It's I know it's yeah, I know it's rather large, but I don't want to give you a number and not be correct.
The other thing that is included with utilities not being able to give money is major contractors with the government. this would restrict them from giving money, or their board of directors, or
So
their
people
immediate
who
family
supply their poles or their wires
Right.
or their metal
Right.
towers, contractors.
It wouldn't, let's say you are a lineman that works for a utility, this wouldn't affect you. This is for like your board of directors, your president, your treasurer, your CEO, and contractors that do that.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. It's more geared towards the utility companies?
This particular initiative, we have another initiative going on, a separate one called Decline to Sign, but the Michigan Money Out of Politics is just, to my knowledge, right now, only DTE and Consumers Energy.
Okay, so this isn't anything about overturning Citizens United or?
No, that's our Decline to Sign, so that's a separate.
Okay, that is a separate thing. And the first step in doing that is to get a proposal on the ballot?
Yes, ma'am.
To do it, and then work from that point?
Yes, because we're really concerned we're not going to get enough signatures for the Michigan Money Out of Politics.
Okay, I have one other question because I know other people have their hands up. I have really stressed to people that this is a nonpartisan group, and I'm talking common ground, I'm not talking what you're doing. Is there a benefit to one party or the other to have money in politics? And the reason I'm asking is just because I want to make sure that, I mean, I don't know, I think that needs to be a discussion. Or an understanding or something that is it nonpartisan?
We're nonpartisan, and I do believe we have both on both sides have invested in this. So we have somebody who was very much into the MAGA movement, who supports us 100%, legislator.
Okay.
So I don't think it's exclusive to one party, and it's really nice to know that, and I think that's what makes this more appealing. This is more for Michigan voters as a whole, and I think this is one area where we come together. So again, I'm still understanding exactly how it works, and I'm sure there's more to it than the broad base that I just gave today, but we could certainly have Christy zoom in at some point or do something of that nature where she can really define why it's so important. I think most importantly for me and as the regional organizer here, my job is to just get you guys excited about getting these signatures because it's really difficult to get out here. I mean, I've walked doors, I've walked many miles. Just going to your church group or going to a family gathering or, just getting a few signatures goes a very long way for us. So that's really why I'm here today. I am no way my executive director, who I absolutely adore, but yeah, sure.
Well, if I can just add on to what you said. So it is broad, the Money Out of Politics is broad support from all areas of Michigan. And this goes back to, if any of you were at the presentation with Dr. Taki. So he had a slide up that said values that are shared by everybody, no matter how you identify politically, and transparency.
Immediate family or staff of any of these who have solicited money for the individual receiving contributions in the past 2 years. So a senator's staff member or a governor's staff member or even a governor's wife would be banned from doing.
Which would be wonderful. And I mean, I think that, again, I'm still learning the depths of what the legislation will do, but I think our biggest goal, and I don't want to take up too much time, but
I should have said governor's husband as well.
oh yeah, no, that's a better statement for sure.
But I had a follow-up comment to make. I was so troubled during the Flint water crisis, where we were shoving all of those bottles, that bottled water into the community, and the top assistant to the governor at the time was married to the head of the CEO of the Nestle bottling
Oh,
kind.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
much
you know,
more.
that's a clear
Yeah.
conflict that this kind of thing would be able to ban, I think, would at least ban him and his wife from taking contributions from those entities. But it was a really troubling situation. Of course, people needed water, and it was okay to get water, but they were all, you know, those Nestle bottles, and gave them a big windfall, and that just didn't seem right to me.
Yeah, okay, from the card, the flyer over here, the two bans that it got, the first one is political contributions from regulated monopoly utilities. These are the power companies. The next one is political contributions from corporations that seek or hold large state or local government contracts over $250,000. That's not utilities, and it's not just for utilities. That's any corporations with government contracts.
Yeah.
So that should cover something back there where somebody was thinking it was solely about utilities. Two different things. And then the third part is exposing dark money election campaigns. So this would, it sounds like it would shine a light on where this money is coming from when people are getting money that doesn't have a name attached to it. And then I saw something in there earlier about it banning ads tailored to specific issues within the campaign or something like that. If they know more about that, I'd like to hear.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I am sorry that I couldn't give you more in depth per se. I mean, I just got that lit piece
It's
this
okay.
this
You're
afternoon. But the best thing that you brought up is that it is corporations as well. I just didn't want to say anything that was inaccurate, but I do think that this initiative needs to make the ballot, and we need your help to do it.
I think your more esoteric language is, as you often see it on the board here, directly or indirectly established, financed, maintained, or controlled by. And then the list of people who might be in that role. And what you're really doing in that language is unpeeling, revealing the real identities of the PACs, PACs, Political Action Committees, and they'll have names like a Clean Water Fund, or Blue Sky Fund, or Liberty for All Fund, or We're for Moms and Apple Pie. You know, their names will sound noble and worthwhile, but behind that is the real question: where does their money come from, and where does it go to? And that's what you're trying to get at with the technical language here.
You're quoting from the first
I'm
dark
quoting
dot.
from several different bullets on that particular page. The third empty circle, the second fully black bullet, the first fully black bullet, all of those are aimed at unpeeling, revealing the identities and the contribution sources for those PACs. Because indirectly, if you trace them back far enough, you end up with who are the major donors to one of those noble sounding committees.
Well, it sounds like this is a passionate issue, and I wish I had more to give you guys. I don't. However, did you have a question?
Is this the end of your?
Yeah, this is all I have currently, but I think the bigger thing is that it sounds like this is a topic that's very much needed to be continued, and maybe you guys can schedule a time. If Christy can't be here physically, but like a Zoom with her would be phenomenal, because she really knows the ins and outs. And before she became our executive director at BNP, she was with Clean Water Action, and so it's just very knowledgeable.
This is Christy you're talking about?
Yeah, our executive director. She would be here tonight. She's in Chicago, I think. So it's like me being on the second day of the job. But I will say that I'm most importantly to me is that we can register volunteers. Whether you guys want to host, like we can do meet and greets, meetups, and I will reach back out to Mara to put that together. But I think that's our biggest value added is these kinds of settings. So if there's anything that we can do to support you guys, if you ever wanted to do a drive-in sign, people are doing that where you can like drive and sign, and then you could give away a t-shirt or something, or give away maybe something. We need smaller swag. That's something I'm gonna definitely ask. But also, I think, if you want to host any more of these here, we'd love to be here. So I'm sorry I was not, I feel like you guys are my parents, and you're more knowledgeable than I am at my own job, but it's only because I totally am reliant on the baby boomers, so.
No, this has
Each
been
have a
great.
little piece of it, and my question is, when you're doing petition drives, how do you explain something this complicated
I
to
know, to
people
basic
who
voters.
are debating whether to sign or not? That's really
I'll
a
tell you,
challenge.
because I have,
What's
so
that?
I have a clipboard over here where I'm collecting signatures, so if you want to sign afterward, you can come over there and sign. But usually, like, there are some individuals that want some time to think about it, so there's a QR code, and you can go and read more. If you know me, you can call me later after you've thought about it more, and I can bring a clipboard, meet up with you to sign. One thing I was going to add, as personal experience of why I know this is needed, there are two candidates that, well, they were representatives. They didn't run again, and they were on a panel this spring at a conference I went to when Money Out of Politics was launched. And both of them cited that they were not running again because they were just so disgusted with all of the money that was coming and being offered to them on a regular basis. One of them said, like, you know going into politics that there are going to be lobbyists that come to your office. That's not a surprise, but it's worse than whatever you're thinking. And she gave the example that she went to a fundraiser and there were utility lobbyists going around to each of the candidates. They came up to her and they offered her $10,000 for her personal account. It wasn't even like fundraiser for her candidacy. And I don't even know how that would be legal, but that kind of goes back to the comment about dark money. Like, right now there is just no tracking to know. And so we need some restrictions, because not only are we having the money just flowing in with no problem, we're having candidates and good representatives, and our elected officials are not doing it because they're getting disgusted with the whole process themselves. So this would help to create transparency and level the playing field for everybody.
And attract candidates for office who do have strong personal
Yes.
morals,
Yeah.
Integrity.
less corruptible.
There are a handful of Michigan legislators that have signed and pledged to not take any utility money, but it's not even the majority of them. So this is why this petition is here, is because legislators will not make that rule for themselves. So we need to pass it on a petition so that the people can vote on it, because they won't place restrictions on themselves likely.
When's the deadline?
It is the end of February,
Yeah.
February 25th, I think.
Yeah, I can get you all those exact facts, actually, because I don't want to say a date and then that's not correct.
End
but-
of February-ish.
Is this a constitutional change? What kind of petition is it?
I think it is.
Yeah, ballot initiatives change the Constitution.
Yeah.
No, they
No.
can sometimes enact law,
This one
they can other times
This one I
amend
think
or
is.
add to the Constitution. So you have to know more specifically
yeah, I get that.
what their mechanism is that they're
Okay.
influencing.
If you didn't know, when you have one of these ballot initiatives, it's required to have the written language of the whole thing. This is one of the longest ones.
Wow.
And
Oh,
part of
that's
that-
only the final
Who
two
wrote it?
pages. Flip
Yeah.
it over,
Well,
flip
these
it, and you'll see the
coalitions.
other
Yeah,
pages.
but four.
You showed us pages
Yeah,
like
yeah,
4 and
there's-
5,
Yeah, there's
and
one,
here comes
3, 4,
pages 1,
5.
2, and 3.
So, and then you have your summary up here, but part of the reason it's so long is because it's very specific. Like all of these things, it's very specific. And
What does it say across the top? A statute or a constitutional amendment?
across the
I
top.
think it's a law.
That descriptive phrase or paragraph.
That
So initiation of legislation to prohibit regulated electric and gas utilities.
Fine, then we'll.
It is not a constitutional amendment.
All right,
It's not.
thanks. Yeah, that's.
Okay.
And if it's not, I think they don't require as many signatures
I
as a
don't-
constitutional amendment, but I'm not
No,
sure.
this says it's 356,000 valid signatures
Good.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure.
That's more doable.
within
for-
180 days. Yeah.
All right, well, we have cookies and some snacks, and if you have a question that you want to ask separately, not out loud, we'll be around and for a while. The library's open till 7, so feel free to hang out.
I just want to say she's amazing, and I will be back, but I'll be more ready. We're gonna do things the way I want to do them, which is like I want to do a volunteer meetup. So I will reach out to her to put something together and try to get as many volunteers getting ready for spring and summer. And we'd love to honor you. She's a great team lead, so I'm learning from her just as much as you guys are. And I will make sure, if you have any questions, we can send it over to get more specifics from our supervisor.
One other nightmare here, not related to this, pity the people where the ice storm happened near Gaylord and Grayling over there.
Okay.
There are 2 major co-ops owned entirely by their customers
Okay.
who thought they were gonna get some federal money to help them rewire, put up new poles, repair all the damage from those storms. Instead, nope, that got declined at the federal level, and now they're left with, as consumer-owned, it's all on their customers to buy all the new poles and wires and whatnot to reestablish full electrical service to be more storm resistant. And their estimates are that that's gonna make their power bills 10 times or more higher than they have been before. And imagine yourself in a rural household who
Sure.
must have electricity to make their house livable, and now your electric bill is a multiple of what it was before.
Great Lakes
And
Energy.
that's unrelated to all this. It was Great Lakes, and I forget the name of the other one, but they're up in the
Wow.
general area of Kalkaska, Traverse City, and Gaylord, Grayling, that
Well-
part of the lower peninsula.
Well, wouldn't the DTE and consumers like not to have co-ops and like to
Own everything.
serve the whole area or not?
Then they would have to generate enough capital to poles, wires, and all the things that require.
Well, I did not know about that. That sounds absolutely terrible, and it sounds like legislators need to be called, and I don't know how we could be proactive maybe on something like that, but I think if we can get signatures to get this on the ballot, that would protect a lot of these incidents from happening. So our best role is to just get this on the ballot. And I don't know if you guys have any other like chapter meetings, or I think Tamara said this is your last meetup. But could we do something in the spring, summer? We'll be a little bit more ready, and there'll be more, I think we'll be past our goal, our initial goal. But yeah, we'll need volunteers throughout the summer. If anybody likes doing walking doors, you don't have to walk a lot of doors, or you don't have to be at a grocery store bothering everybody. There's definitely opportunities to go to events. I don't know if there's concerts, there's special events that we put together as organizers that will be in your community where you can volunteer with other people, and especially people that you know. I think that's one of our biggest concerns, is that volunteers feel like they're going out by themselves, and they're not so eager to do that right now in this time, in this climate. So I know particularly for me, I would like to have events where there's at least 2 volunteers per event, 2 to 3 volunteers. So if you do volunteer with VMP, or especially in West Michigan, you can contact me, because I will definitely make sure that you're volunteering with a group or at an event that you feel is safe. And I think that's the biggest thing for us, is just getting our branding back out there. Again, Voters Not Politicians is far more well-known on the east side than it is in West Michigan, so we're just getting our footing back. And I look forward to having partners like you guys. And I would like a group photo so I can put it in our big field group. If you don't mind taking a picture. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. These are not going to be public. But we're just trying to show that people are getting active. So it's just in our private work group. And I don't have anything else. Again, if you want a t-shirt, that's here for you guys. And then I'm going to get with Tamara and get all the information that we can get, like via email for you.